Well, folks, what a Saturday it was in college football. It's another Sunday afternoon, so you know what time it is. It is time for another AP poll instant reaction. And as you can see, we got a lot of shakeups to talk about. We had a great slate of games this Saturday. If you enjoy this video, be sure to like, subscribe to the channel, anything to help out. We always sincerely appreciate it. And always leave a comment down below if there's something you agree with, disagree with. Be sure to put it in the comment section of the video. But Georgia, remaining number one, no surprise there. They take out Vandy 55-0. Ohio State staying at number two. They enjoyed a bye week this week. And, I mean, if you're a Buckeyes fan, that's probably a good thing. There was a lot of chaos going on that we're about to dive into, and it starts at number three because for the first time since 2006, the first time in 15 years, Tennessee beats Alabama. We'll talk about this more on the show tomorrow, so you'll want to see that episode because we're going to recap all of this. Just what a confusing but amazing day we had. Tennessee is number three in the country. It is something that, this is something I haven't seen in my lifetime. I'm almost at a loss for words looking at it here. But the Vols, they got the big win. Not just a big win, they got the big win they've been looking forward to. And I want to keep in mind, Georgia and Tennessee still have to play each other. That is November 5th in Athens. That is going to be one of the biggest games ever at Sanford Stadium. That is going to be a monumental game we still have left on the schedule. Michigan moves up to number four. That was another big game. They absolutely demolished Penn State. You really could say outside of two plays, Penn State is lucky they even have any touchdowns. You honestly could look at it that way. And so now we're going to get the question of how good is Michigan because they beat Penn State by too much, it feels like. If you beat Penn State by a certain amount, everyone goes, oh, okay, Penn State was overrated. They weren't that good anyways. We don't know how good Michigan is. But I'd look at it the other way. Penn State's they're a solid team. They're a quality team. When you're able to dismantle a team like that and just dominate them the entire game outside of, one weird tipped interception that turns into a pick six and one busted play that turns into a 60-yard run for Sean Clifford, Michigan just took over. That was all they had to do. They took over, they played their type of ball, and they just bullied Penn State all the way up and down the field in Ann Arbor. Number five is Clemson, and Clemson, they deservingly drop a spot. You combine Tennessee and Michigan's big wins. Clemson having a game that I told people this would be closer than you would look, and that's exactly what happened. Clemson getting a 34-28 win over Florida State. Knowles came back late. Clemson kind of sat around, started to slow the game down, trying to, get us out of here. And Florida State nearly came back and got them. They made it a one-possession game with 3 minutes left. It got scary a little bit for Clemson, and that's the one thing I still have with Clemson. We'll see if they can overcome their obstacle that is their offense at times. And at number six, we have Alabama. Boy, what a brutal turn of events it was in the final few moments of the game. You go from a 49-49 game, you have a shot to win it, you miss a field goal, and in just 15 seconds you let Tennessee walk down the field on you, and they kick the game-winning field goal instead. So absolutely brutal for Alabama. 17 penalties by the Crimson Tide at their game in Knoxville. It just didn't look like an Alabama team we're used to seeing from Nick Saban. So number six, that's the spot they're going to get. Only 3 spots for losing by 3 points, but you look at who's behind them, and this is the uncharted waters here. Ole Miss is number 7. Even Ole Miss fans, I don't think, know how good this Ole Miss team is. No one can truly tell. This is another one I said, hey, Auburn's going to give them a tough game. Auburn always seems to play well in Oxford. They're 13-4, I believe, in Oxford, and the 4 times they lose, they fire their head coach. If you're an Auburn fan, fingers crossed that Harsin gets fired is what I'm expecting out of a lot of the Tiger fan base. But Ole Miss, they've still got the offense. Jackson Dart's still iffy at times, but they have a lot of weapons on that Rebels team, and they're 7-0. They're continuing to win games, and TCU, man, what can be said about TCU that already hasn't been said at this point? That is a fun team to watch. If you've not seen if you do not see any of the TCU Oklahoma State game because of the Alabama Tennessee game happening at the same time, I would really go and look back and watch highlights of that game. This was a gutsy, fun win that that TCU had. Tennessee did also have a fun win. This is the only problem with this, was trying to go back and forth. This is one of those you needed to have two TVs on, basically. But TCU getting the big come-from-behind win, 30-16 was the deficit they were facing. At one point, it was 17 earlier in the game, but they rally back, and they let Oklahoma State beat themselves, basically. The Frogs found ways, and they get the double overtime win. And just Max Duggan, man, he's that dude. He is that guy that can go out there and win you games. He may not be the best quarterback at times, but, man, he is that guy in the Big 12. And TCU, they're the front runners now. I don't think anyone expected this in Sonny Dykes' first year with the Frogs. And then we've got a big-time matchup brewing now. UCLA and Oregon both had byes. The Bruins are now number 9, and the Ducks are now number 10. That's going to be the game day game this week in Eugene. Going to be an absolutely pivotal matchup now, because if UCLA or Oregon, whoever wins this, you're the front runner now. The USC, will get to them in a moment. You could already see them down here at 12. But this is, did anyone expect this? Did anyone expect UCLA to be the team that is currently 6-0 in the top 10? I do not think so. And Oregon, same thing. They get absolutely blown out by Georgia in week 1, but the Ducks have responded quite well. And then you look at the two losers here, Oklahoma State at number 11, USC falling all the way down to 12, a 5-spot drop for them. Oklahoma State, it was the same thing, different week. You have a big lead, and you just decide to play conservative the rest of the game. And usually that's okay if your defense can hold on. But with how tired they're getting, TCU's going to make a big play at some point. And they were able to run the ball on Oklahoma State, something I said that is going to be a problem. If TCU can get going in the run game and the pass game, it's going to be a big day for the Frogs, and that's exactly what happened. Spencer Sanders didn't practice throughout the week, decided to play Saturday. He did not look that great. Some of that, I'm sure, is that shoulder, but, man, just an absolutely brutal loss for Oklahoma State. Same thing for USC. They hold a double-digit lead. Utah comes back over the course of the game, battling through everything. And the question we're going to talk about at the end, why did Lincoln Riley not take those timeouts when Utah has the ball, a minute and a half to go? You know they're going to run the ball and try to kill some clock, and USC just let it happen. This is a bit interesting there. I know Lincoln Riley said, he believed in the defense to get a stop, but I really don't understand why you would roll with that. But anyway, Utah getting a 43-42 win, USC dropping down to number 12. Wake Forest, they had a bye week. They move up to 13. Syracuse beating NC State. Brutal news, of course, for NC State fans. No Devin Leary the rest of the season. But the Cuse just absolutely rolled. They're now 6-0 and number 14 in the country. They're going to have a big game with Clemson coming up. Oh, man, this is going to turn into a fun time for these Cuse fans. This is a fun team. Garrett Schrader's been having a good season at quarterback. This is one of those more underrated teams. You look at some of these big undefeateds. You look at, it's Ole Miss, it's TCU, it's UCLA. Syracuse is just quietly sitting there. No one really talking about them. Utah, of course, we've already talked about a little bit. They move up to 15 following their big win. Once again, cannot state how big of a win that is for Utah, riding the ship, especially after losing to UCLA, getting back on track. Their Penn State falling down to 16. Kansas State staying put at 17. Illinois moving up to 18. A big win for the Illini. I really thought Minnesota would put up a better fight, but the Illini defense is legit, folks. This is a team that has a strong defense, and they're not afraid to play that old Big Ten style of football and grind some wins out. Illinois is now in the driver's seat for the Big Ten West after this, I would say. So we might see the Illini in Indianapolis later on this year. Kentucky getting a big win. They get Will Levis back, and they beat Mississippi State 27-17. Huge win there for the Wildcats, and that win puts them back at 19. Texas at 20, they survive. That's the best way to put it. They didn't really defeat Iowa State. They survived Iowa State 24-21. You can thank a drop touchdown pass for Texas getting the win there. The Horns offense did not look that great. That's more, I think, Iowa State has a legitimate, solid defense than it is Texas's offensive struggles. Few questionable throws by Ewers at time, but hey, you're going to get that from a freshman quarter. You're going to get that from a young quarterback. That's going to happen. And then Cincinnati, they're back in, or they're just back chilling, I guess you could say, at 21. North Carolina at 22 now. NC State and Mississippi State both with 8-spot drops. The Wolfpack, man, just it can't get any better for them. They fall to 23. Like I mentioned earlier, your quarterback's now out for the rest of this season. You're running a pretty much one-dimensional offense the rest of the year. Jack Chambers is going to have to throw the ball at some point if NC State wants to start beating people. And for Mississippi State, you see what can happen with a Mike Leach team. I joked about this on the episode Thursday. You're either going to drop 40 or you're going to drop 10. You don't know which team you're going to get on any given Saturday. And this week, it was not a good one for Mississippi State. They fall to 24. And then finally, Tulane is in. Tulane is in at 25. You know how weird this is? The AP doesn't even have a graphic for Tulane yet. That's how unprecedented this is. James Madison was in for a week. They get upset by Georgia Southern. Tulane is now that group of 5 team that snatches that bid. And I mean, I'm proud of Tulane. This is a team that, last year they had a few good games. We had the running joke, the best 2-win team in America. They almost beat Oklahoma. They competed with Cincinnati for most of that game. And now we're seeing them once again. They have a top 25 win, folks. Remember, they beat Kansas State. This is a fun Tulane team to keep an eye on. They play Memphis this week back at home, so we'll see how their crowd handles this situation. But as always, thank you for watching this video. I always appreciate anyone tuning in, watching these things. Be sure, as always, like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on Twitch as well, and Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all NWTV7 to be notified when we do our live shows as well. That's right, you don't want to miss those. We cover a lot more than just college football there, but of course, we always have our content like this from time to time. So until next time, have a great one, everyone, and enjoy another fun week of college football.